Well, let me also say this about money, that, you know, just like you mentioned earlier, that you got a letter from Steve Brown asking him to send money to you.
To him.
To him, to his penthouse apartment, by the way. Steve Brown is a multimillionaire who is on the local station board. One probably would ask, well, what would a multimillionaire want to be on the local station board? Which could be a very good thing if the individual was there to try and help. But it also allows for people to come on there with intentions that aren't so noble, with intentions of trying to take over, trying to run, trying to be in charge of it. And I think that's what Mr. Brown has been doing. And toward that end, he's written many, many, many emails with totally fabricated stories about what was going on at WBAI. There's one story that he talks about me being in a room with Indra, and I'm hovering over her and pointing my finger down in her face. Then I leave the meeting, I run down the hallway, pumping my fists, screaming out racial epithets, and then he writes that I met Errol Maitland down at the other end of the hall, and that Errol aped my behavior.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that one.
Now,
I saw that, because I remember the aped, word aped.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean,
and
very,
everything,
you know,
racist, very grossly racist, stereotypically.
And the day that he was talking about where a meeting did take place, of course, nothing like what he mentioned happened. But Errol wasn't even at work that day.
Wow.
He wasn't even at work.
People have trouble believing that something can be a total lie.
Yeah.
So Mitch Cohen told the story that to a friend of mine that you had been approached by Glenn Ford, and what they're trying to do is now present you as anti-Cynthia McKinney, and that you're a total supporter of Obama and of the Democratic Party, and therefore all these people believe in a third party or believe that Cynthia McKinney was an alternative to going the same way or whatever. They're trying to appeal to all those people and say, do you know that Bernard was, because I've heard this several times from different sources now, and not just from Mitch Cohen, but from others too, that somehow you were against Cynthia McKinney, and particularly they're addressing this to Lynn Stewart, but also to other people, trying to get people to realize you're not someone people should trust. So he said, this is again Mitch Cohen, said specifically that Glenn Ford approached you, and that about having a show on BAI prior to the election or something like that, and you refused, and you didn't let Cynthia McKinney on and stuff like that. So let's answer that question as well. Now, I know that that's a complete lie. And when I said this to the sister, when she first presented it to me, she said, oh, he couldn't have said that. She knows Mitch for many years. She said, he couldn't have said that to me. He wouldn't tell me a bald-faced, a total lie like that. Well, people do tell total lies. So that's my point. That some of these stories that are going around, when you say they fabricated completely, I know that's the case, and people believe it. People say, well, this man I know, he's not going to tell me a total lie. After all, he knows I can go and check. So why would it,
Well, see, and that's one of the things that I keep telling people. You need to check.
You need to
All
check.
you got to do is check with Glenn
Right.
Ford. I've known Glenn, let me see, 70, 80, 90, for about 35 years. Glenn and I used to be on the same committee. We were on the same journalist organization called the National Alliance of Third World Journalists. We went to Grenada together. We've given forums together, and we lost contact with each other. And the first time I saw Glenn, or had an opportunity to speak with him, was just a couple of months ago. He's never talked about a program. In fact, what he told me was that he was approached by Mitch Cohen and asked if he wanted to have a program.
Really?
And I told him, I said, Yeah, he's
Mitch
doing.
Cohen was the assistant firm director.
And
Working with you?
I said he's been doing that quite a bit, asking people if they want.
I hear he just recently offered Nellie Bailey a job.
Yeah. He had to, unfortunately, put it in writing. That one, but that it was a total fabrication. Cynthia McKinney. I always liked Cynthia. I think Cynthia is one of the most courageous folks around. What happened was, and what people might be referring to, is that during the time of the election, I was talking about what's the guy?
Ralph Nader.
Ralph Nader.
I heard you talking
I was
about
talking about Ralph Nader, and I said that I have no respect for these people who pop up just around election time and decide that they're going to run. They've done no work
I heard you
the
say
whole
that.
year.
I was pissed when I have to say, I thought you were talking about Cynthia McKinney. Because you didn't mention any names.
No.
So when I heard you say that, I thought to myself, Cynthia McKinney's done a lot of work,
Sure,
and I thought you were
sure.
talking about her.
No,
I agree
Ralph
about Ralph
Nader's
Nader.
done no work. He, he puts out papers and he makes statements and gives speeches, but he did no work trying to build up for the next election. But he shows up and expects people to vote for him. It had nothing at all to do with Cynthia McKinney.
Okay. Did you in some way bias that pre-election period toward Obama?
I don't have the power to do that. We have free speech radio at the station. And people who were interested in the Obama campaign, and many of them were, they expressed that. I didn't, I always had skeptics. My feeling about Obama was that if he was going to fundamentally change society, that he would be eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
So the powers that be must have had
A screening process.
a screening process to recognize that this guy is going to
Okay,
be
so
safe.
one